Greetings, crew members. We're back with another review, this time of A24 and David Lowery's The Green Knight.
O greatest of kings, let one of your knights try to land a blow against me. Indulge me in this game.
I will beat thee.
It's good.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Tamara.
And we're going to discuss this Arthurian epic. Does it live up to the hype or does it leave you a little wanting? Well, Tamara, we should probably get into it. I guess we should give a little bit of a summary of what the film is and talk about it, and then we'll get into spoilers later in the episode. So keep an eye out for the spoiler tag later if you don't want to, get into the bigger details of this film. But that being said, it is a millennia-old Arthurian epic. So, Tamara, you have actually read the original story, which I have not. Yeah.
Yes.
So that may have, you did tell me ahead of time kind of this general synopsis of what the story was.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
I don't think you should, because I don't think it was something that spoiled my viewing of this film. If anything, it just kind of helped inform it. But I do want to go back and watch this film again when we get the chance, just for the shots and the beauty of it. Before we get into all that, let's break down the story. So, Tamara, can you tell us a little bit about The Green Knight?
Yeah. Okay. So The Green Knight is the story of Gawain and the Green Knight. And in the movie, because I'm going to stick to just the movie, I'm not going to talk about the story. Gawain is a young, brash, not yet a knight. He actually has not become a knight of the Round Table. He's sleeping with and kind of in love with a woman who works at a brothel. And that is how he's introduced. So that's how we know what he is as a person. He's this brash party boy. He goes to a Christmas celebration with King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. King Arthur is old as fuck.
Also his uncle.
And his uncle. He gets there and everybody's having a good time and drinking. King Arthur asks him to tell him a story about himself and he doesn't have one. And so he asks the Knights of the Round Table, somebody has to have a tale that they can tell me. And as he says that, a green knight, he looks like he's made of wood.
He looks like a living tree.
Yeah, when he walks, he creaks. It's very cool. It's very good.
He's very
like
kind of that druidic look.
Yeah, and he gets off his big old horse and he goes, I'm gonna let one person take a swing at me. You can take any swing you want. And in 1 year, you will come to me. You'll ride 6 days north and
to the Green Chapel.
To the Green Chapel, and I will return the blow that you did to me back. He does the blow.
Which is
Gawain,
just cutting his fucking head off.
Yeah, Gawain.
Like, wait a minute. This guy left like kind of what I thought clear instructions.
Let whichever of your knights is boldest of blood and wildest of hearts step forth. Take up arms and try with honor to land a blow against me. Whomsoever nicks me shall lay claim to this my arm. Its glory and riches shall be thine. Should he land a blow, then 1 year and Yuletide hence, he must seek me out yonder, to the Green Chapel. He shall find me there and bend a knee and let me strike him in return.
Yes, and so Gawain's like, okay, well, I'll do it. I'll take this on, because he realized he has no tales of himself, and he's kind of brash. He's probably still kind of drunk. And he jumps down and he goes, I'll do it, and he chops his fucking head off. And this is the story basically of him doing his 6-day ride back and meeting back up with the Green Knight.
The Green Knight immediately picks his own head up and rides off laughing into the night.
Laughing, yes. A lot of
and
laughter.
King Arthur is also like, well, making him, because he's like,
King
I'm
Arthur
not sure I'm gonna go.
basically says to him, like, you have to go.
Yeah, and it's the story, it's mostly like a road movie, kind of, in the sense that it's about his journey.
It's all the little things that happen to him on his journey. But that's as far as we can get into it without spoiling.
Spoiling it. But essentially, like, needless to say, the driving force is Sir Gawain going towards the Green Knight, while at the same time, the themes are about true honor and there's a lot of themes in this movie.
There's a lot of themes in this movie. A lot of symbolism.
A lot of visual repetition and metaphor.
A lot of color work. Like a lot of colors.
Oh yeah, the color seems to really drive the story in places. And this is a smart film because like they just call the king, the queen, the queen.
They're like, you know who these people are.
Yeah, they don't do that. They don't do that thing that I think I complained about in some recent film or something we're watching where it's like, oh, it was Rocket Man, where it's like, what's your name? And there's a pause in the music and the pull in on his face and he goes, my name's Elton John, right? Like they do that all the time, but they never do that in this movie. Nobody's ever like King Arthur, Guinevere.
No.
Like he's only sitting at the table because Lancelot is gone, but they don't even mention that. They're just like, this seat's empty.
Yeah, because he's gone on a quest.
Yes.
And so Lancelot's just not in the movie, which I appreciate. Too much of Arthurian legend is taken up with Guinevere, Arthur, and Lancelot. There's so many other cool stories in Arthurian legend, and this one is one of my favorites. This is the one that I had a collection when I was in high school that I read through one time, and this is the one I remember.
And I think you are right. I think that is very much a thing with modern films and King Arthur. Going back to, well, you look at John Boorman's Excalibur, or even the more recent Guy Ritchie film.
Yeah.
They're always just about how
great Arthur is and how badass he is, but this is like an old as fuck Arthur.
Oh yeah.
Arthur's like dying, basically.
He's played by the guy who plays the bad guy in the last 2 Mission Impossible movies.
Yeah, he's a very old, very like decrepit. He even says like, I would leap over this table at you myself.
He can barely lift his
can't.
sword, both in the opening scene, which is probably, I think, my favorite scene in the entire film, and then later in a scene towards the end where it shows Arthur, and he both times he's struggling to even lift, I guess, Excalibur.
Well, it's great because they don't even call it Excalibur.
No, it's
he
just a
hands
sword.
him his sword, and everyone's like, "Oh my god!" Because everyone knows what the sword is, and the characters are like, "Oh my god, he just gave him Excalibur!" Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and Arthur sort of has this relationship with Sir Gawain, and he is his nephew. That's something else that is brought up in the movie that I guess is probably not too spoilery to say, is his mom is, I guess, insinuated or is supposed to be Morgan Le Fay, which is a kind of a film-only add to this character.
Is it Morgan or is it Morgana?
There's so many names for it. Morgan Le Fay, Morgana, Mogus. It's the problem with a story written 10,000 years ago.
The movie is the fable, but there are some radical differences and changes, which we're going to get into in our next section, which is spoilers.
Yes, so please, here's the spoiler tag if you want to skip to this time code to kind of see our summary.
Christ is born.
Christ is born indeed.
All right, well, let's
now we're
get
getting
into it.
Shit. So,
Yes.
What about that hand job scene, huh?
Oh my God, you're going straight for it.
Sorry, I got wildly off track.
The,
but I've been
the hand
thinking
job
about
thing is, I think,
It was kind of the first red flag for
it's
me.
important
honestly.
because it gets to the core of the story. So give us kind of like the end synopsis of what the Sir Gawain Arthur story is and how this diverges.
So in the original story, he goes to the chapel. He heads to the chapel, but along the way, he stays at the house of this lord. The lord is a very generous, very kind man. He keeps going out and hunting for him. And this is still in the actual movie.
Yeah,
but
played by Joel Edgerton in this film.
he says to him, everything that you are given while you're in my house, you have to give to me. And he's like, well, I don't know what I would get that wasn't already yours. And he goes, just if you do. So in the original story, the Lord's wife keeps fucking macking on Gawain and keeps kissing him. And then Gawain keeps giving this Lord the kisses back. He literally is just like, okay, I got 2 kisses from your wife, so mwah, mwah. And the Lord is all like, oh. Like,
but he doesn't tell him that his wife is.
Yes, he doesn't tell him that his wife is because he doesn't want to ruin her honor or whatever, which, like, man, you could just tell the guy that his wife is cheating on him, but whatever. And then he leaves, but before he leaves, she goes, okay, well, take this sash, and this green sash will protect you. And he's like, okay. And he takes it and he does not give it to the Lord. So he goes to the Green Chapel, he waits for the Green Knight, and then once the Green Knight like awakens and he goes to take his swing, he only cuts him a little bit. He gives him a tiny nick. And then he says, I was the Lord, And the injustice that you did upon me was not giving me the sash that was supposed to protect you from getting murderized. And you're supposed to give that back to me. You didn't, so I gave you a tiny nick. Now we're friends, and we can part ways allies.
And it's about how, like, this guy learns the meaning of honor, right?
Yes.
And through his kind of like what saves his life is the fact that he was honorable.
And kept giving those kisses back.
Which is what this movie changes completely.
It doesn't even, because it still works with the original narrative, except what they're doing instead is not he starts honorable. What they're doing instead is he is learning honor over the course of this journey, because they add in a bunch of stuff. They add in Saint Winifred. They add in the
beggar kid who
that
robs
kid
him.
Who is like, is my directions worth nothing to you, and has to like goad him into giving him a couple bucks. And then he's like, you didn't give me enough. Yeah, the guy's kind of a jerk, right? Like he had to be yelled at to do the right thing. And then he had to be yelled at. She was like, will you get my head for me?
Saint Winifred, yes.
Yeah, Saint Winifred. She's like, will you get my head for me? And he goes, well, what will you give me in return? And she goes, it's a terrible thing to say. Why would you say that? Just go get my head. And then he does. It kind of was like teaching him over the course of it, I thought, honor, because he was doing the right thing. He had to be scolded a little bit, but he was doing it.
Yeah, he was learning what it meant to be a knight. And I felt like that was his journey. He very much says multiple times throughout the film, I'm not a knight.
Mm-hmm. But at the end of the movie, instead of the Green Knight giving him a tiny nick on the neck, we get treated to this extended montage of what could have been, where he runs away, he lives a full life, but he's a terrible king, because apparently he's king, because he's the only living male heir of Arthur's line. He basically is like, okay, well, I'm a knight, now I'm a king. I had a son with the prostitute that I was in love with, but I'm just gonna pay her and take the baby, and then I'm gonna marry myself a good, honest woman, like a lady. Has another kid with her. Her son dies on the battlefield because he's a bad king who's been like put
warring
back to
and stuff.
Back to war. It's just
the last shots we see of him in that sort of flash forward is like they're breaking down the gates. His kingdom is crumbled. They're coming to execute him. He removes the green sash and his like head rolls off. It's like the last temptation of Christ, where it's like the third act is like, what if, right?
Yeah.
And then he removes the sash, and then the Green Knight is like, my brave knight, now off with your head, cut to black.
Yeah, which is what he says in the original story, but the problem is you don't show the nick, which means you don't show the moral of the story.
You don't show the nick.
Like,
you don't show him returning kind of as a heroic knight. Like, I thought that whole end montage was supposed to be about like
this is the path he could go down
by being a coward.
By being a coward and a piece of crap, because he kind of was.
Yeah.
And then this is the path you're going to go down now because you are a good person who passed your test. That's the thing. The minute that kid shows up, because he's got this really tight choker around his neck, and there's a part where he pulls at it and you hear like
creaking,
and it's because he is the Green Knight. He is testing them in all of these forms.
Yeah, basically from the moment he sets out, he starts testing him.
So it's like, okay, all of these tests, he's passing them. He's not passing them well,
and
but
like
he
the
is
fox,
passing them.
Is the fox also an aspect of the Green Knight? You think the fox is Morgan Le Fay?
Yeah, I think the fox is his mom, because the fox was like, oh, go back, blah, blah, blah. And then, no, it might be the Green Knight.
They never explicitly say, they certainly never explicitly say if Joel Edgerton's character is the Green Knight. There is a moment when he's sitting in the chapel looking at the Green Knight who's sleeping on his throne, and you can kind of see this morphing effect on his face, where his face is morphing between the young kid and his mom and kind of everybody he's met along the journey, but you're not sure if that's like a literal or metaphorical thing.
There's a lot of metaphor in this.
The wheel, in the repetition of the circle, you see that a lot. In the shield.
The circle a whole bunch, like the shield, and then a crack in the circle. So like even the wheel that represents the time, it's got a slice
the puppet
right
show
across the top of it.
Yes.
And then later on, they have the shield that he's got, and it's got like the Virgin Mary painted on the inside of it. And the thieves stomp on it and break
crack
it
it
in
right
half.
down the middle. And there's even like subtler stuff, like that shot of him just walking down the field, and there's the very hard line between the ground and the horizon, and the camera starts to spin, and all you can kind of really feel is that crack. I guess it's supposed to symbolize the cut, like
Yes.
that's good, that he made and that is going to be returned in kind.
Yes, and there's lots of like circular imagery. There's lots of it's really beautiful.
No, this
Like,
film
it's
is
a
absolutely
beautiful
gorgeous.
movie.
The
Chunks
gay
of it.
panic too was something
Oh
we didn't
yeah,
really cover.
the gay panic. I
Because
did
they
not
changed
like
that.
I did not like that. So because they changed the story. So instead of Gowan kissing the Lord and being like, this is what I've received in your house, the Lord like rides up and he goes, is there nothing you wish to give to me? And he's like, no.
He's like, I think there is.
And he goes, I think there is, and I think I'll take it. And then he kisses him, and it's like, okay.
And it's a very sexual kiss.
First
It's not
of
like
all-
some kind of chaste, honorable kiss or like something that's supposed to mean something.
Yeah, but it's like, it's got a lot of problems to it. Because, like, first of all, how are you less progressive than a poem written in the fucking 12th century? Okay? Like, this poem was written literally like hundreds of years ago.
Yeah.
And you're somehow less progressive than
Like
the
in
poem.
the poem, two men can kiss, and it's not ever
And it's not a
insinuated
problem.
to be gay or homosexual.
There's
or,
no problem.
Yeah, it's
They
a
don't care. And then now in this one, it's like now this guy is being a creepy old homo who lives in his weird castle with his beard wife. And it's like, no, that's not how the story went. It's completely unnecessary, to be brutally fucking honest.
Yeah, Gowan immediately nopes out of there. He gets all like upset and scared and nopes out of there. Very
Yeah.
much gay panic.
Oh, I don't like it.
No,
I mean,
I think when we get into our ratings, that will knock it down a bit for us.
Yes.
But let's get into that now, actually. So
let's do it. Our wrap up. So
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
it's a beautiful, film,
movie.
gorgeous. I want to watch it again just to kind of experience the imagery and like the things like the giants or the things like the score. The score is something that I think
Score's
I'm just going to
amazing.
listen to while I work because it's beautiful and haunting. Especially the kind of Saint Winifred theme is gorgeous.
The race blind casting is amazing.
Oh yeah, no, that's great. Dev Patel is a tremendous
so
actor.
good.
He needs an Oscar nomination for this movie.
Yeah.
He's the thing that hooks you throughout the entire film, and you're with him on his journey, and you feel the emotions he's feeling, in the fear and the shame and the
And like you
pride.
empathize with him even if you don't agree with him.
What would you give A24 and David Lowery's The Green Knight?
The ending, I don't think I like it. I don't think I like how the ending was. And maybe that's because I read the original story and I was such a fan of the original story, but I don't like that ending. I also don't like the gay panic. It's a big problem for me. A big enough problem that even though the movie's beautiful and gorgeous and like haunting, and I really
Kind of the height
liked
of
it.
filmmaking right now, yeah.
Yeah, and I really liked it. It's still only gonna get a 4 out of 5 for me.
I kind of feel the same way. There is a lot I love about this film. I love that this is a medieval film that doesn't end with two armies clashing swords at each other. It's beautiful.
All the colors are gorgeous.
Yeah, I think the guy who shot this movie is going to go on and have a fabulous Roger Deakins-esque career. I think, though, the ending is too ambiguous for the arc they were setting up and the moral they were going for. I think that the gay panic, left a severe distaste in my mouth and did ruin that moment. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and give The Green Knight a 4 out of 5 as well.
Like, it's excellent, and I highly suggest you watch it.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching our review of The Green Knight. You can go ahead and check out other videos we have on the channel too. We have our review of both the Hitman video games and the Hitman movies. It's a double bill. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Stay safe and be who you are.
Bye!
Bye.